This is Mac OS Ken.
Another check on the supply chain, problems updating Apple Studio Display, and taking Apple TV Plus seriously. It is Monday, the 11th of April, 2022. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by Notion. One workspace for your whole team. Learn more and get started for free at notion.com/macOSKen. This show is also sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy, which I'm about to start using again. I've availed myself of their services a couple of times over the past few years. One time was just to try it so I could tell you about it, and the other was because things got a little dark. And they have again. Nothing to worry about. I just need to check my head a bit. And I'm really glad BetterHelp is there. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anybody on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy. Give it a try and see if online therapy can help lower your stress. As I said before, this show is sponsored by BetterHelp, and Mac OS Ken listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/macOSKen. That's BETTERHELP, betterhelp.com/macOSKen. Another city in China has gone into zero COVID lockdown, adding another stressor to Apple production. The South China Morning Post says Kunshan, about an hour's drive from Shanghai, has ordered its 2.1 million residents to stay inside as the country seeks to stop the spread of the Omicron variant of COVID-19. The site says factories in the city have been instructed to halt production since the 2nd of April, according to company statements. Not everyone has had to. Foxconn and Luxshare are both Apple suppliers with factories in the city. According to the report, both factories in Kunshan are still operating under closed loops, which confine staff to their quarters at the plants with zero contact with outsiders. That slashes the productivity as workers who live off-site cannot enter the plant, while daily COVID-19 tests disrupt the production cadence, according to people familiar with the matter. As has often been the case since the start of the pandemic, it is worse for companies not based in Cupertino. Kunshan is said by the piece to be home to a number of makers of printed circuit boards, or PCBs, and original equipment manufacturers, or OEMs. The report says companies that have halted production include the circuit board makers Elite Material, Unimicron, and WUS Printed Circuit, while the OEMs Wistron Corporation and Pegatron also suspended their production of computers, communications, and consumer electronics for branded vendors. The lockdowns in Kunshan are expected to be lifted tomorrow, Tuesday, the 12th of April, provided the COVID situation doesn't get worse. Funny thing about COVID, though, it kind of does what it wants. We'll see what happens. Stressed though the supply chain may be, the situation's not bad for specific links in it. Bloomberg says TSMC, the company that cranks out semiconductors for Apple, hit record sales in the first quarter. That was driven by demand for cars, computers, and smartphones. The higher prices for chips due to the continued semiconductor shortage certainly didn't hurt the company's take. While TSMC has yet to report full earnings, it has reported revenue. That came in at roughly $17 billion US for the March quarter. That was up 36% from the same quarter a year ago. It also beat analysts' expectations by close to $1 billion. Some owners of Apple's new Studio Display are facing update troubles because, it runs an operating system and those need updates. Mac Rumors notes a growing thread on Apple support forums that has people attempting to update being told that they cannot. According to the report, they're being presented with an error message that reads, Apple Studio Display firmware update could not be completed. Try again in an hour. If the problem persists, contact an Apple authorized service provider. According to users on the thread, reconnecting the display to another Mac and/or restarting the monitor does not address the issue. If you're encountering this problem, I would suggest you try again in an hour. Also, if the problem persists, contact an Apple authorized service provider. I know. How do I come up with them? Apple may have let a smallish cat out of the bag. 9to5Mac says the Cupertino company has posted a support document covering the use of a dual USB-C 35-watt power adapter. Oh, don't look for it now. It seems that the how-to was pulled down almost as soon as it was noticed. The post left little doubt what they were talking about, though, saying, use the Apple 35-watt dual USB-C port power adapter and the USB-C cable, not included, to charge your device. Connect a USB-C cable to either port on the power adapter, extend the electrical prongs if necessary, then plug the power adapter firmly into the power outlet. Wonko the Sane would be going nuts with that. I will say, though, this whole thing's kind of exciting. I mean, just imagine. You could charge two things. You could power one thing and charge another. You could power two things. The possibilities are, well, pretty much limited to that. As for when we get it, we may not. Mac Rumors says it's unclear when Apple plans to release this accessory, and it's also possible that it has scrapped it altogether. Why write up a how-to, though? It seems more likely that Apple will release this thing at some point, and somebody just jumped the gun on posting documentation. If you see somebody walking around Cologne, Germany with a big, teched-out backpack, scanning and beeping like they're from the future, fear not. It's just someone from Apple making the company's Maps app better. Similar to a story a couple of weeks back about getting a better look at England, the piece from Apple Insider says 4 Apple Maps teams will be hiking across Cologne in order to build up data for the mapping service, from updating existing detail to adding new pedestrian routes. I'm pretty sure they mean adding those to the Maps app, not adding them to Cologne. Citing a report from the German site Mackerkopf, the piece says the 4 teams will start their hiking today, Monday, the 11th of April, and wrap it up around the 4th of July. They'll be supplemented by a road team hitting the Stressors and Bonds beginning Friday, the 22nd of April. More news in a moment, but first a word from Notion. One workplace for your whole team. I had a project a few years ago where a group I was working with said they would do something, then said that they had never said that. I had it in my notes, but that group was in another city and my notes were worth less than the paper on which they were written. Working on another project with a different group, I brought up something that I had contributed to the project and was told, no, we had all done that. And again, I could make a hat or a brooch or a pterodactyl with my notes, but otherwise the paper was useless. Clear, visible, accessible communication is important, and that is something you can have with Notion. For companies of all sizes, Notion provides one central and customizable workspace that can be tailored to fit any team and bring all teams together to get more done and move faster. Notion is an all-in-one team collaboration tool that combines note-taking, document sharing, wikis, project management, and much more into one space that is simple, powerful, and beautifully designed. Who said what? It's right there. What's our next step? It's right there. Whether you're working with people across the room or across the country, you'll have everything you need in one spot. Learn more and get started for free at notion.com/macOSKen. That's notion.com/macOSKen to help you take the first step toward an organized, happier team today. NOTION. That's notion.com/macOSKen. To say that Apple's first night of Friday Night Baseball went off without a hitch would not be totally true. I dipped in for a few minutes and had no trouble, but I'm just one guy who already had an Apple TV. A report I saw someplace, and sorry, I've lost track of where, but a report I saw someplace had people complaining about getting the app installed around game time. No offense, but that's a bit like opening an Xbox for the first time on Christmas morning and expecting to be able to play right away. A report from iMore had the site Down Detector noting a slew of outage reports during the first game of Friday's doubleheader. A piece from Apple Insider indicates that some people liked the clean, simplistic graphics Apple used, while others complained that they were too simplistic. And a decent amount of scorn seems to have been served to the broadcast teams. I honestly didn't watch long enough to have an opinion on them, though I will say, I wonder if Apple is making a mistake switching up broadcast teams every week. I have known of broadcasters in the past that people started off hating and ended up loving once they got to know them and got used to them. Wouldn't it be great to give people time to gel with the teams broadcasting the games the same way they have the teams playing them? Just a thought. Week 2 of Friday Night Baseball is this Friday, the 15th of April. Game 1 will have the Tampa Bay Rays visiting the White Sox of Chicago. Game 2 will see the Cincinnati Reds visiting the LA Dodgers. Vogue is really into one of Apple's newest shows. The site for the magazine says the Gary Oldman, Kristen Scott Thomas, Jonathan Pryce series Slow Horses is TV's new spy thriller to beat. I won't tell you more about what they said because honestly, reading it, I know more about the show than I want to. The person writing it up for Vogue got to see all 6 of the season's episodes through press screeners and doesn't seem overly concerned that the rest of us did not. Suffice to say, it's gotten very positive notice. The crew at Slough House had a notable premiere week. That's the word from the good folks at Reelgood. Watching what its 5 million users watched between the 31st of March and the 6th of April, Slow Horses was one of the 3 Apple TV titles in the Reelgood Top 10. The spy show premiered in 9th place for the week. The next to last episode of Severance, Season 1, took the 5th spot, and still riding high on its Oscar wins for Best Supporting Actor, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Picture, the Apple TV Plus film Coda came in at number 3. And finally today, the British edition of GQ has strung a series of backhanded compliments into something like praise for Apple TV Plus. They really did not like Coda, though they definitely see the value in its Oscar win for Best Picture. They also don't think Ted Lasso is funny, though not really sure that that show is for a British audience, despite its setting. That said, shows like Severance, We Crashed, Slow Horses, Pachinko, Roar, and Shining Girls, as well as films like Killers of the Flower Moon and Emancipation, assuming the Will Smith issue hasn't killed that, make Apple TV Plus a force to be reckoned with in GQ UK's estimation. Asking the rhetorical question, is Apple TV Plus worth it? The publication responds, the message is clear. Apple TV Plus is more than ready to play with the big boys. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/macOSCan. This show is also sponsored by Notion, one workspace for your whole team. Learn more and get started for free at notion.com/macOSCan. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macoscan.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.